Sharon. Sharon. Hello, Addie from Clovis. And this is being recorded. It is unscripted. I have only done this today. I'm going to give you tips that I have learned over the course of the last 5 years of public speaking and the last year of performing in front of a Zoom audience. I have a whole table of awards from speech contests that I have won throughout California that gather dust. And I am a member of Toastmasters International, the #1 speaking organization in the United States. If you could make sure you're all muted, please. I'm going to be covering things, especially for women, although men are welcome to join this meeting as well. I will be doing a little disrobing in the course of this half hour. The first decision you're going to make is whether to sit or stand. I am standing in front of my computer, which means I had to jack it up on 2 or 3 boxes to get it to the right height for my visuals. You need to be able to look straight into your lens and have it capture your face and your hands with the right proportions. So I had to keep futzing with how high it was to get it to where it is right now. That's the first decision. You can make more broad hand gestures. You can move around more in the screen if you're standing. You can come in, you can go back. You can also come in and go back a little if you're sitting. I just competed in 4 speech contests in the last couple of months, and I was sitting. It was necessary for that particular speech. Excuse me. I had a picture behind me of things that I needed to indicate to. So for that particular event, I needed to be sitting. It worked well. I got a lot of awards doing it, so it was well choreographed. But in general, if you want to present more energy to your audience, standing is helpful. I believe Shanda is recommending that we stand to do our opt-in videos. And the ones I've seen so far, I believe almost everyone has been standing. I highly, highly recommend you memorize your opt-in video. It's 2 minutes, folks. Think every song you know is over 2 minutes long and you know the words to hundreds, right? 2 minutes of memorization. I've been memorizing speeches for 5 years. Honestly, 2 minutes is not hard to do. Once you have it down in your brain, you can wake up in the morning and say it cold with no errors. Now you can put your emotions into it. You can speak directly into the lens and talk to your potential customers, and you can put your heart into it. I'm seeing a lot of ladies who are doing their opt-in videos. They are reading it from a script. It feels tight. They feel nervous, and it's not going to come across as well to your potential customers if you feel tight and nervous. You want to feel open-hearted and generous toward everybody. That's the Shanda way. I'm going to talk a little bit about color. Everybody has different colors. I think you all know there's like spring, summer, winter, fall. I happen to be a spring. I look good in bright colors. I have discovered that with the background I created with my logo, I have to wear a pretty bright color here. So I'm going to show you what it's going to look like with different colors. Also, I'm the last person in the world to tell women to wear makeup. I was an NC2A athlete and I would rather be climbing a tree. But that's my bird, sorry. But if you're going to put color on your face, if there's going to be color on your eyes, I highly recommend lipstick. Put a color on that's going to help your mouth show up. It will make a difference. That's the first thing about color. Okay, next, my shirt color. I had to play around with backgrounds and Zoom to find colors that work well with Zoom. They don't all work well. I don't recommend black unless you can really carry off black, because it can be kind of morbid and it can bring out all the shadows in your face. So I'm going to show you some other colors. So the sequins I'm wearing are a neutral for me. You would never wear a neutral because it's going to wash you out in Zoom. But I want to talk about sequins. If you're going to be in a presentation where you want to be noticed, you want to be sparkly, sequins are good. I just was behind a Zoom camera for 6 hours with this particular sequin top on. It worked really well for me. People had to look at me, so I was the center of focus for hours in that. It was a contest. So this one worked well for me. But if you are holding a summit, if you're not the center of focus, probably sequins don't work. But if you're going to be the center of focus, find something that looks good and happy and sparkly on you. I can do orange. Here's copper. I have a whole collection of sequins. Can you tell? Copper's nice. And here's a reddish purple. So this will also show up pretty well. Now, normally this is a good color for me, but watch what Zoom is doing to it. Oh, incidentally, you'll notice that I don't have a great resolution when I'm transmitting. I live on a mountain and I have low speed internet. I will never have high speed internet here. So I actually go to a friend's studio to record. She has high speed internet. She has 2 umbrella cameras in front of me. She has a wide angle, high definition camera right in front of me. It's a beautiful setup and I am very grateful. I've spent many hours recording in her studio and I have to just drive down the mountain to do that. So this is an apricot color. It's getting washed out, right? Sorry, it's my phone. This is getting washed out. So I can't wear this to record. So practice with different colors and see what you get. Green, I love green. It's in my logo. It's on my business cards. I love green because it's the color of money in the United States, right? So, I wish that would go away. Here is green. So the problem is that, let me turn that off. So the problem, if you're using a green screen, this green can actually confuse. Right now it's sort of confusing Zoom. So my background is green. It's imposing a screen on the green, and now I'm wearing a green shirt. Unfortunately, to record, I can't use green. I really love green. So my 2 best colors are that turquoise I started with and this one. I don't recommend prints. I don't recommend florals. I don't recommend stripes. And if you're a guy, then I would recommend a blue shirt or a color that looks really good with your coloring, but white is too stark. So right now this is better. See, this is a problem if I turn the light off. And let me show you, I purchased a glowy light. This is nice on Amazon. I think it was 20 bucks. It has 3 different intensities. It's very helpful, and you can put it on a cell phone. It just clips on. So I can put this up here and light up my face with it. And it takes shadows off the face. I know this isn't great, guys, because we're on my internet right now. Let me talk about other things other than my internet. If you have a tendency to glow, if you have oily skin anywhere on your face, I do recommend you use some powder to try to take that off because you don't want to look all shiny in the video. Look at your camera. That's the #1 tip, is to look at your camera. Lighting. So this is an overhead light. It's not ideal, but I do record in a studio that has really good lighting, folks. The camera position is important. Try to get it so that it's pretty close to eye level when you're standing about here, where you're doing your hand movements, pretty close to eye level. Don't have it looking up your nose, and don't look up at your camera. You might feel angelic, but it doesn't come out that way to the audience. So try to get even with your camera. I have it on 2 boxes right now. If you're going to sit, it's a little bit easier. If you're going to sit, I have to put it on 1 little short box in order to get the camera even with my face. So sit or stand, get the camera even with your face, look at your camera. Let's talk a little bit about hand gestures. Is anyone familiar with Vanessa Van Edwards? I love Vanessa Van Edwards. I follow her. She's a sociologist. She has People School. She has videos online, I think on YouTube, or at least on her site, that talk about the best place to stand at a party, how to shake someone's hand, how to tell if someone's lying, how to use your hands. And your hands are your trust objects. So when someone can see that your hands are open, this is like a symbol of generosity and trust. It's good to stand at a place or sit at a place where you can use your hands and your audience can see your hands. I'm going to tell you something I've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks with Pace Club, people doing their opt-in videos with what's called jazz hands. They're talking like this. They're energizing because Shanda wants us energized and they're talking like this. This is jazz hands. So that's not the way you want to use your hands. Think of how you would talk to a girlfriend. The other day, I was walking along a road with a guy and I was holding his right hand. We were talking about a subject and he started to get animated. He started to jerk his hand up and I said, aha, you can't talk without your right hand. So think about how you normally use your hands when you're speaking to people. Vanessa has a great video that talks about the top, 10 ways to use your hands for gestures. One of them is when you're indicating something small. And you can also come in closer to the camera when you're indicating something small. When something is growing, it's like this, or it's like this. My kids were this big and now they're way up here. So indicate it with your hands. Whenever you use numbers, Vanessa Van Edwards, V-A-N Edwards. She has Science of People is her organization. Whenever you enumerate in a speech, in a recording, in your summit, there are 3 things I'd really like you to remember. Now, don't forget, you've got to tell them 3 things and you've got to use your fingers. So number 1, look at your camera. Number 2, decide if you're going to sit or stand. And number 3, make sure your camera is even with your face. Just make sure that you give them 3 things because the human brain latches onto the 3. And if you forget to give them those 3 things, people are going to sit around not paying attention to you because they're thinking, well, what were the 3? What was the 3rd thing? Did she tell me the 2nd thing? So make sure that you do all the ones that you told them you were going to do in the first place. Another is up and to the right. So I now have Zoom on what's called mirror. When I say with my right hand up and to the right, it's showing you up and to the right, right? But if I have it, the mirror turned the other way, I have to use my left hand and it will go up and to the right. And the only way you can figure this out is if you practice. Just get on your Zoom. You have a Zoom, maybe a free Zoom, or you've bought a Zoom license. Get on and practice and see which way your hands are going that makes sense for your audience. I had someone did an opt-in video where she said, click down here. And when it actually got published, it was over here. So make sure you know how things are oriented when you do your opt-in page. Of course, smile. Everybody loves a beautiful grill. And we all have lovely smiles. And I would just say, make sure it's congruent. When you're smiling, it's congruent with what you're saying. I once listened to a speech in my Toastmasters Club where the woman talked about a very, very difficult time in her life. And she was flashing her $1 million grill the whole time. And she was saying things that would make me cry. So make sure that your smile is congruent with what you're saying. Okay, the voice is important. I know Shanda wants us to be excited. We're not all tremendously excitable people. Some of us are quieter than others. I know she wants us to start with energy, right? You can also, as I said, get quieter when you come closer to the camera. When you back up, you can go with bigger gestures and a bigger voice. You can show tenderness. You can show caring, frustration, confusion. Confusion would probably be up here somewhere, right? So make sure your hand gestures and the emotions are congruent. I believe the number is over 60% of what a person remembers from your presentation has to do with your voice and your emotions, not what you said. So if your text is perfect for your opt-in page, and maybe you have even memorized it, but you are tense and you are nervous and you're feeling a bit tight and closed in, what they're going to remember, she's tight and closed in, I probably don't want to work with her. And we don't want that to happen. Another thing about hand gestures is it's always rude to point at a person in the camera. So what some politicians do is they do this so that they're not actually actively pointing at someone. Or you can do a motion with your hand that indicates you're going toward a person, but this is considered, in our culture, is considered rude. So never do that. I do a lot of this, which is a way of saying, remember this? This is a good hand gesture for remember. Some Zoom warnings. Zoom has some features or deficiencies, I would say, that have come out in a number of contests I've been in. The last contest that I won awards for was a humorous contest where I had to whistle. And I discovered I had to pull the volume of my whistle or Zoom would, the audio would crack. Zoom has a sort of a feature where it will shut off if the volume is high enough. In one speech contest, a woman had to scream in her, it had to do with a flooding of the house, and she screamed, and Zoom actually rebooted. There were several of us in the Zoom meeting, and I was the master of ceremonies, where our Zoom actually rebooted at that time, the minute that she screamed. Fortunately, it came back to her. It logged itself back in automatically, but that was a real shocker. So you can't scream. You can't whistle loudly. I was watching a dance video yesterday and the woman was clapping, and when she clapped really loudly, the Zoom audio cut out. So watch out for loud noises. And I'm sure this is a safety trigger in Zoom so that people can't be yelling and screaming at each other in meetings, and they'll just basically, their audio will be cut off. So watch out for that. What else? I think that was most of what I had to cover. Where are we? 133. So sitting versus standing, the camera positioning is extremely important. Look at your camera. Mine's right here. And I need to remind you, like what a dork I am. I have a smiley face right next to my camera. Eventually you think, oh, I'm gonna always remember to look in the camera, but it's not necessarily true. There are faces in front of you, so you want to look at the faces, but try to always look at your camera. That's your connection to your audience. Make sure your lighting is as good as you can get it. You're trying to eliminate shadows in your face. Here is a lighting source. I'm really bright right now. See, I went from, see the shadows in my face? That's the first level, second level, third level. It's actually quite bright. But it does help to erase shadows with just this cheap little $20 item. Face, make sure you are using color that doesn't wash out with the color that you have on your body or the color of your background. Wear powder if you tend to glow. No green shirts, sorry, that's a Zoom thing. If you're using a green screen. If you're not using a green screen, it shouldn't matter. But I use a green screen and I use my logo, which is backwards right now. Backgrounds, if you've practiced with your background, backgrounds are fine on Zoom. I have to go to the studio where I have high resolution and then the background looks perfect when I'm recording. Hand gestures, smile. Remember, your voice is the most important thing in this entire presentation. It's about your voice and your smile and your gestures. Make sure your hand gestures are congruent with what you're talking about. Beware of loud noises. And please, ladies, memorize your opt-in videos. 2 minutes. I swear to you, it's not that hard. And if anyone wants a video about how to memorize, I'm happy to do that. I've been memorizing poetry and speeches for 5 years now, and it's not that hard. And I am now going to open it up. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm now going to open it up for questions. So you're welcome to unmute yourselves. Let's see, did I turn that off? There you go. You can now unmute yourself if you have questions, and I'm happy to take questions from people. Oh, I didn't mention glasses. If you wear glasses and you have to wear glasses, and I totally understand that, then practice as much as you can to get your lighting in a place where the glasses won't be reflecting back at your audience, because I'll show you, it's really hard to see someone's eyes. That's not so bad. It's been a lot worse in the past. So try to get your glasses somewhere where they're not all reflective back at your audience. More questions? Anybody out there? Lindy, Addie, Sharon, I see Edith. Anyone have questions? You can't unmute? I'm so sorry. Really? Can I unmute you? Oh, I have to ask everybody to unmute. Okay. All right, I just asked for people to unmute. Let's see.
Yeah, hi Lisa, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi everyone. I do have a question, and it was more to your last point about memorizing, because that's where I'm at in terms of my opt-in video. So I've got the spiel. What would be your, and I do lots of speeches and all that sort of stuff, and I suppose when I say speeches or talks, it's, you know, I'm familiar with speaking in front of people because I know my topic. But I think this time I've never done an opt-in video before, so I'm keen to really get to nail it, I suppose, and hearing all your tips about, you know, putting the emotion behind it, hand gestures, all of that sort of stuff, which is awesome. I think for me, because I know my topic so well, I just don't want to put too much in versus not enough. But at the same time, would love to know what your top tips are in terms of memorizing it. Like how would you go about doing that?
Good question. There are two different ways I memorize things. One is memorizing only for the general gist of what I'm saying, and another way is straight memorization, word for word. You probably don't want to do straight memorization for your opt-in video because it might feel canned, and you don't want it to feel canned. So in that case, I would take a 3x5 or 5x7 card, write my main topics on it, and talk to them and do it. You must have a Zoom client. Do it on Zoom. It only takes 2 minutes. Do it 5 times. Each time you're recording, and each time watch the recording and see, oh, did I like that one? Am I getting better? What could I do differently? How could I do my emotions a little differently? So try to do it a little bit better, tweak it, 2 minutes at a time. This is nothing. We can sit on social media for an hour. This is nothing. So tweak it, do it multiple times, look at your recordings. And then one of the things I do when I'm recording is I'm just talking in a mirror. I mean, I'm right in front of myself. Shit, I could talk to myself all day, right? So I'm not scared of the audience. Yeah, or him. He's my audience too. So I'm not scared of talking into a mirror, and I'm just talking into this lens. It doesn't make me nervous. I'm not thinking about people on the other side. I mean, I'm trying to connect to somebody, some person I haven't met yet through this lens, but I don't care about them judging me. I don't care about whether what I'm doing is perfect. I'm talking into a lens. So I try to pull the emotion out of it. This is me. This is what I have to say. Do it as happily as you can, because you know more people are going to enroll when you appear to be happy about your subject. And just high level memorize the main points. So in 2 minutes, maybe 6 points in your 2-minute spiel that'll be on your bullets, and learn to talk around those 6 points. And at the end, hey, click below and I'll see you on the other side. So that's, it'll be great.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thanks for today. It was great.
Of course. Any other questions?
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, cool. What are you talking about, opt-in?
Oh,
what is that?
We are in an entrepreneur program where we are going to ask people to come to our summit, and to come, they need to go to a landing page that says, you fill in your name and your email address, and you click, sign me up. And then now they're enrolled in your event. So there's a video on that page that we've all been asked to do that's 2 minutes or less. And many people are nervous because they've never recorded before. They're not used to being on camera. Many of them look stiff and uncomfortable. And this is your first face to the customer. Right here on this opt-in page is probably your first face to the customer. So it's important that we get this right. And it needs to come from the heart, but at the same time, be more or less scripted. But personally, I will probably memorize mine because I do that stuff all the time.
Well, that's interesting. What I had was someone record me and ask me questions, but she edited out her voice. So I'm having a conversation and just saying, well, what I love about Tantra is, and blah, 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 And the last batch I really, really liked.
That's a great idea, actually. Yeah. It's a great idea. If
So,
you had a buddy,
I
if you
did
had an
a-
accountability buddy to do that with, that could get you a lot more authenticity in your video. Yeah.
Well, I had the greatest compliment the other day that somebody said, the way you are in your video is exactly how you are.
That's good.
So it was good. And then I did a Facebook Live through Zoom with a friend of mine, and we were chatting back and forth. And when I listened to it later, my voice was way louder than hers.
Oh,
And is there any way of knowing that?
I'm not aware of Zoom telling you what the vocal levels are. So the only way I would know to do that would be if you did a test with me beforehand and we had the audio turned on. So we could tell in the recording. I know I come across loud. I have a naturally loud voice and my energy carries up, you know me, my energy's up here. So I project a lot with my voice, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone else isn't as loud as I am. The first summit that I did, there was a man who came on at the end who was very soft, and I had to have him get up closer to his camera, and it worked out okay, but I'd say his volume was half of what mine was. You know, everyone could hear him. It just wasn't the same volume.
All right. Well, I guess I could also be more relaxed because I'm trained to talk to a room of people. So my voice is kind of bigger. And then you kind of answered this one question, but you know, when I'm teaching, this is a little different than what you're doing here. I do look at the faces because I want to see if they're getting what I'm saying or if anybody's getting emotional. And I find it quite hard. I mean, I mostly look at the camera while I'm talking, and then I look around at people.
Yeah.
And people watching Zoom are like this, you know, it's very different than live. So I end up with like, are they having fun? Is it okay?
I understand that. It's hard. So Lindy is my Tantra instructor in this area. She works with people's energy. That's what she does. She's very good at that. So she has been put in a very foreign situation here, needing to communicate with people where we normally are touching each other with energy to going through a camera. It's just very different. Lindy, kudos to you for keeping it up. So
I try.
Yeah. So I think this.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's fun to jump on with you.
We're at the end of our half hour. Does anyone else have a question before we check out?
Sorry, I joined a little bit late, so I missed the first 20 minutes of your Zoom call. Is there a chance that I can watch it again? Or
it's actively recording right now. Yes, I will post it. I asked this morning and she said put it on YouTube. So I will get both of these recordings on YouTube, and you ladies are welcome to watch them again. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Different times.
I've got one more question.
Yeah.
I have difficulties because I've never done a Zoom until 2 months ago. I've never needed to do that, and I'm always nervous to be even speaking to a group of people. So it's not as much as Zoom calls, just speaking to I'm good on one-on-one conversation because I can see their eyes, I can see their expression, but it's really difficult for me to speak to a lot of people because I feel embarrassed, or I feel like, oh, people will be judging me, and many different reasons. And I get really, I don't know, I get a knot in my stomach. I feel like, I don't know, I feel really nervous when I speak.
So my best advice to you is to get an accountability buddy in PACE. You're in PACE, right, Edith? Find an accountability buddy. And also, you know how you're talking to me right now? So I am part of a group of people that you're talking to right now, but it feels like you're talking to me, right?
No, I think this is the first one.
Right? So this is how it will feel, that you're talking to one other person, you're looking in the camera, and try to connect energetically and heart to heart with one other person out there that you can't see. That's what your opt-in video is going to be about. And then your true self will come through. Don't worry about any of the judgment or people in a crowd, because all you're doing is talking one-to-one to someone on the other end of that camera lens.
Oh, thank you.
You can do it. But do get a buddy. I highly recommend it. Find a buddy out there. I think we should all have buddies. I finally did get one, but I posted a message and there were dozens of people who said they wanted buddies.
Oh, fantastic.